Ralcine here from Bell Lost Souls. I'm talking to Will Hungerford and Lyle Lowry from Privateer Press. They've been kind enough to join us this weekend here at WargamesCon. So we kind of captured them and smuggled them into a room and thought we'd ask them some questions. So first question for you guys is tell us what you do at Privateer Press.
Sure. I am the organized play and volunteer coordinator at Privateer Press, which means I help work on and direct our organized play efforts in terms of coming up with new leagues for casual players, tournament settings for the competitive players, making sure everyone has an engaging experience when they want to play War Machine in a variety of different ways. And as the volunteer coordinator, I run the press gang.
Can you tell us about the press gang? What's that about?
The press gang is a worldwide group of volunteers. They're everywhere. Basically incredibly passionate people that go to conventions, stores, clubs, promote the game by giving demos, running the tournaments I was talking about, and sort of spreading the word and the knowledge about all the games that Privateer Press makes and helping promote them within their communities.
Cool. Wow.
And I'm the marketing manager at Privateer Press, so my department consists of what he does, organized play and volunteer coordination, as well as setting up our presence at conventions, organizing our own convention lock and load, and our web presence, our community development, all those kinds of things.
So what factions do you guys play?
I honestly play all the factions, but right now I've mainly been playing my Blindwater congregation, and I've been getting into a lot of Circle recently. My heart kind of belongs to the Protectorate of Minoth. They were the first faction I started back in 2005. So I started with a battle box playing Krios, got my first 10 games in with just him and the battle group, and fell in love with that faction. But I jump from faction to faction. I love getting a taste of everything and all the different play styles. So just a little bit of everything. Though I usually stick with something about 6 months to 8 months at a time. Then I'll move on to something else.
Cool. How about you, Lyle?
So my first love and what I've come back to is Khador. I started in Mark 1. I love Sorsha. I love the heavy jacks. I love how Khador is all about all heavy, no light, lots of armor. So Khador is definitely closest to my heart. I also play a little bit of Circle and a little bit of Minions. I play Blindwater Congregation because they're gators.
They're rad.
Because they're gators and they're rad. So
right
a little bit of everything, but Khador is what comes out the most.
Cool. So it seems like you guys have a lot of things in the pipeline right now. Privateer Press seems really busy, a lot of new products. Can you guys tell us kind of what we can expect to see, in the next coming months to a year from the company?
So on the non-War Machine and Hordes front, we have a new Bodgers card game coming out called Heat. And it's a casual, easy to pick up game, but it's got lots of strategic opportunities if you really want to dig into it. The setting is sort of post-apocalyptic, Goblin Bodgers, same as the Infernal Contraption game, the same characters. They're coming out in dune buggies and crazy vehicles, gyrocopters, big rigs, those kind of things. And they're fighting out for scrap heap parts. You get those parts, build out crazy machines, improve your vehicles, and you fight for ownership of the heap so you can have all the parts you want. Let's see, we also have Level 7 coming out. Level 7 Escape is the first game in that IP, and it's a transmedia property that we're going to be exploring a lot of different ways. So there will be a number of games in the series, but Matt Wilson has also been working on a short film, which you can view on YouTube now, and you can see it at level7film.com. And there are other media projects that we've done. If you go to theydonotcomeinpeace.com, you can see a blog that takes the character Insider 51 and explores the conspiracy behind the Level 7 world. So Level 7 Escape is the first game that comes out in that line. It's a board game. It's a semi-cooperative experience for 1 to 4 players. And it's a sort of tile exploration game where you're trying to escape Level 7, which is an underground level of Subterra Bravo, which is this crazy facility where aliens are working in collaboration with the government to experiment on people.
Yeah, one of the really cool things about that game is it's semi-cooperative, and what that means is like working together is good, but sometimes you really have to hurt your friends to help yourself. Now, you want everyone to survive, but I've had moments where I was screaming down this hallway trying to get away from a horde of nasties that were going to rip me to pieces, and I had another player behind me. We were both running, and the only way I could survive was to lock the door behind me. And so the door slams shut, locks, they slam into it, and they didn't have a very good ending. But I made it out okay.
You want everyone to survive, but it's supposed to be more that you survive, right? So
right on.
It happens sometimes, right?
Cool. I also saw that Infernal Contraption is coming out with the second edition.
That released in June, yeah, so that's already available. It's a new edition of a game we had first come out in 2007. It's a very popular card game. It's the first game in the Bodger's game line, so yeah, it's a really good, easy to pick up game you can play in an hour.
Cool.
Also, we got IKRPG coming out, the Iron Kingdoms role-playing game. And that's coming out later this year, and it's a return to our roots in some ways. So we started with the Witchfire trilogy, which was what really introduced the world to the Iron Kingdoms.
Sure.
And we've been eager to go back to that world, and we've been exploring it all this time through War Machine and Hordes. And that has taken you through a pretty epic story of what the world is about, but we wanted to get personal again. Sure. So that's where the IKRPG comes in, and we'll be going back soon.
Right on. Can you tell us about the book that's coming out next month, War Machine, Colossals, and Gargantuans, which is the next expansion for Hordes?
Sure. So Colossals is coming out next month, like you said. It's already been pre-released, it has, first off, it's got the new Colossals models in it, which obviously are colossal warjacks. So they're on 120mm bases. They count as warjacks, but they're huge, they can take a ton of damage, they can dish it out, and they're a lot of fun to play with. They make great centerpiece models, and they just, if you're asking me, they look spectacular.
And Gargantuans, the book is coming out next year, but you will see models from that book being released a little bit earlier. And it is much like War Machine is getting their enormous colossal, Hordes are getting their Gargantuans. Hordes will be getting a lot of other things in that book as well. Including some, new warlocks and some other things we can't talk about right now. But I think Hordes players are going to be incredibly happy. And in fact, here at WargamesCon, we let out a few more spoilers about a few of the Gargantuans that haven't been seen yet.
So you guys mentioned the IKRPG earlier, or Iron Kingdoms. I guess we should kind of spell it out for those of us who aren't familiar necessarily with the intellectual property. But can you guys tell us a little bit more about the mechanics of how that game plays, the design philosophy behind it?
So, one of the important elements we really wanted to capture for our setting is that characters come in all different sorts. So the archetypical character, you can't really nail it down to one class or something like that. We wanted to express the diversity that's available in the Iron Kingdoms. So you pick two careers instead of one, and you make your character's archetype or class or whatever by selecting two careers, and that combination makes what your character is. So that gives you a wide range of options to make a character that fits what's in your mind as to what would be a cool way to explore the Iron Kingdoms.
Cool. And in terms of gameplay, the one thing I like about the game is how absolutely heroic the combat feels. It's not just I'm gonna move up and I'm gonna take my my gun out and I'm gonna shoot a guy. It's that I'm gonna jump down the stairs, both barrels blazing, pumping into a guy's chest, and then get down there and maybe crack him with the butt of it. The combat's very streamlined, very quick, so you can get back to the intrigue and the social aspects of it, but it's got enough meat to it and enough that you really feel like you get a lot accomplished. You're never just sort of slugging your way through something. Like, each one is very dynamic and very interesting. And at no point at any level character that I ever played did I ever not feel like a complete and utter badass.
That's pretty cool. In terms of like the mechanics of actually playing the game, how familiar would it be to someone who's already playing War Machine Hordes?
So if you're a player of War Machine and Hordes, then you're immediately going to recognize the foundation of the system. It's built on the same 2d6 plus a stat compared to a target as War Machine and Hordes is. But we've really cranked up the detail level of it so that you can really get into the nuances of the game. Familiar, but lots of tactical options and really deep.
Right on. That's cool.
And if you are a fan of War Machine, making a character in this game and working your way up and developing will give you a greater appreciation of how awesome some of the warcasters and characters in War Machine and Hordes are. When you sort of get a chance to, there's not a direct comparison, but it's close enough that you can be like, man, those guys are awesome.
So I mean, obviously, there's only so much content you could work into that initial book release. Is the first book, you think, going to be more focused around content that would be familiar to War Machine players or Hordes players, or is it going to kind of be a nice kind of grab bag of both?
Well, obviously the biggest focus is we wanted to put out as much of the core rules as we could. So obviously all of the character development is going to be in there. A lot of the setting material around the core nations of the Iron Kingdoms that everyone's familiar with will be in there. And everything that you need to get going is really in there, and later on down the line we'll explore some of the farther corners of the Iron Kingdoms in Western Immorin as we go.
So before we close out, really I want to thank you guys for making the trip down here. This is, I believe, the 4th year for WargamesCon, and yeah, it's just really great to see, you know, company support, company presence out here. So guys, thank you so much.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard that you guys have had a really cool promotion going on this weekend. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is our first time coming to WargamesCon, and it's you know, definitely been growing, and we wanted to come here and show our support, and we like to go big. So we've been running demos all convention long, and everyone who comes up in demos, War Machine or Hordes, gets a free battle box of their choice from either War Machine or Hordes. So we bought all the new plastic battle boxes. And everybody's been having a great time. A ton of people are coming and playing the game and talking to us. And it's a really great show with a ton of energy. So we're really happy to come by and see everybody.
That's really cool. Yeah. Well, anyway, Lyle, Will, thank you guys for coming out. Thanks you guys for tuning in. Take care.